Well, a very, very happy Monday morning to everyone, and welcome to the John Kentera Show on YouTube and Facebook. We appreciate you joining us. We got so much to talk about today, and oh my goodness gracious, I can't wait. We're sitting today on this Monday right now, not all that far away from the start of spring training. Pitchers and catchers, I wrote it down, February 12th. Pitchers and catchers report to Peoria for our Padres. The rest of the squad report on February 17th. So getting just a little bit closer. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I certainly did. I was battling a little bit of a cold over the weekend and didn't go to the UC San Diego Irvine game. I watched it on TV, which I was really disappointed. And we're going to get into that. It was a tough night for the Tritons, but we got a lot to cover. And again, working on getting 3,000 subscribers. And I want to thank everyone and very excited about 2025. I have to be honest, I'm very excited about where we're taking this podcast and just a couple of things. Number one, until spring training, we're going to go Monday and Friday rather than go Wednesdays, or we're going to go Monday and Friday, and we'll get you a lot of content. The other thing that we're going to do, if there's some breaking news on the Padres, I don't care if it's on Tuesday night or Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday night, we're going to come on live. Okay, but for the time being, until pitchers and catchers report, we're going to go Monday and Friday. But if there's some breaking Padres news, I want you fans out there to be able to sound off because there are really no talk shows now except on one station, I think, that takes phone calls. And I really think, considering we got such great fans in San Diego, they need to have their voices heard. And we're going to be here for you. One way or the other, we're going to be here for you. And I want to thank everyone for all the great messages that I get throughout the course of the week, before shows, during shows, after the shows. And I would expect some people to weigh in today. We got a lot of good Padres stuff. But again, please subscribe. Please like the program. It doesn't cost anything. And again, you can follow me on Facebook at John Kentera and on X at Coach Kentera 44. All right. Well, I mentioned pitchers and catchers report on February 12th. That's like Christmas to me. I mean, I love it when those guys show up. There's always great stories. There's always, something to follow and something to talk about. And then the 17th, the rest of the squad will be in there. And I don't know what to expect out of the Padres this year. Do you know? I don't think any of us know. We don't know where it's going. We got the lawsuit now. That's going to take forever. That's going to drain the coffers a little bit of money. But at the end of the day, the Padres, they still got a good nucleus if they keep that nucleus. Okay, we're going to get into Padre news. I'm going to start with what I'm going to call the big three: Dylan Cease, Luis Arraez, and Michael King. Now, in my last podcast last Friday, I mentioned they reached arbitration deals with everybody except Michael King. And Michael King, I don't know if the Padres, I would certainly think they're going to try to get something done with him before they go to an arbitration hearing because nobody really wins an arbitration. Okay, from what we understand, Michael King looking for about $8.8 million. The Padres offered 7.325. And I'm kind of saying, man, you know what? You want to keep a good relationship with Michael King, a guy that's going to be a free agent, give him the money. But again, it's a business. But nobody wins when you go to arbitration. The teams go in there and they tell the player and his representative everything he didn't get done. They'll start it off. They'll show, oh man, you had a great year. He did this, this, and this. But he's only done it for 1 year. He exceeded his innings limit. How's he going to bounce back this year? And they're going to come up with goofy stats to make it sound like Michael King wasn't very good. That's just the way teams work. And then Michael King's representatives are going to come in here and talk about, and they should. The guy had a hell of a year for us. And Dylan Cease is going to get 13.75. He settled before going to arbitration. I mean, Michael King, I think, and I'm not trying to give the Padres money away. I get it. It's a business. They're trying to save as much as they possibly can. They still need a left fielder, and they need catchers, and they probably need another pitcher or two, I would hope. And then they got to fill out their bench. But Michael King, And I realize, he's going to be a free agent after this year, and he's going to get a ton of money. If he does anything close this coming year to what he did in 2024, he's going to be one of the hot guys out there on the market. He's going to be 30 years of age. But 8.8 million, I think is fair. And you know what? If he doesn't get it, I think he'll win personally, because most of the time the guys win. They win a lot of times when they have a crap year. And this guy had a hell of a year. He had a career year. So he may get the 8.8 million. But then there's going to be hard feelings. So are they going to trade Michael King before opening day? They might. I think Dylan Cease would probably get him more out on the free agent market, even though he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. We've heard Boston for him. And then you got Luis Ariz. And I keep hearing about there could be a deal with the New York Yankees. Not buying that. I'm not buying that. Where does he fit in with the Yankees? He doesn't fit in with the Yankees. That's some dude in his underwear in his mom's basement coming up with an underwear trade, as I call him. That's not going to work. I mean, Luis Ariz may not be a Padre. There's talk that he could end up going to the Cubs for Nico Horner and a young pitcher. Maybe that would be a good deal. Nico Horner, he would be under control until after the 2026 season. I don't know if Ariz is going to be here. I don't know if Cease is going to be here. And I don't know if King is going to be here. I thought King was definitely going to be here until they had the arbitration issued last week on Thursday, when that was the deadline. Now, they could still work out a long-term deal with him. And, I don't know how many years you want to give a 30-year-old right-hander. I mean, you want to give him a 3-year deal, probably looking for a 5-year deal. All these guys are looking for deals that are going to take them up to 40 years of age. The Padres can't do that. We already got too many guys in that area. So the only way the Padres are going to get some help are going to be trading these pitchers. Now, they could get, if they trade Cease, they could get probably a 3-for-1. And they'll get some arms. They're not going to maybe get a starting arm, but they may get a bullpen arm, a young arm, and maybe a guy that can help them off the bench. We'll have to wait and see. But it's still early for AJ. And again, I got to go back to AJ. He's been so quiet this offseason. Well, I think a week ago today, we found out maybe why he has been so quiet. Padres knew this lawsuit was coming, I think. I think they knew. I really do. And AJ just hadn't been able to do a whole lot. I mean, I don't know how much money he's got. I really don't know how much money he's got. But again, if they don't trade anybody and they stay with the salary, and, you get Michael King back, you add a couple of catchers, and maybe you already got your catchers. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But you got to get left field. You got to get somebody that can do something dynamic out there in left field. Maybe it'll be Profar. I mean, it sounds like to me, Profar, his market right now has been dried up. I mean, we had heard Yankees a while back, but then they signed Juan Soto. They don't need Profar. I don't know. Maybe the Giants will sign Profar. I have no idea. But I think he may end up back here. I'm not giving him $12.5 million or $13 million. I give him a 2-year deal for about $16 million. I give him $8 million a year. Maybe 9. Maybe 2 years at $18 million. But I don't know if he'll ever do anything close to what he did in 2024. Again, hit 280 with 20-plus bombs. Drove in a ton of runs, scored a ton of runs. He's a 245 guy in 11 years in the big leagues. You want to bet on that? I'm not going to. Would I like him back? Yeah, because I think he's a good team guy. I think he's a catalyst. But I'm not breaking the bank for Jerks and Profar. I'm just not going to do that. As much as I'd like him back, Padres, they got to spend their money. We got to get a catcher. And we're going to get to that. But before I do that, I want to get to Roki Sasaki. I can't wait for this guy to sign. I don't know where he's going to sign. I don't know if it's going to be the Dodgers, going to be the Padres. I mean, there's a ton of teams out there. The Mets, the Yankees, the Rangers, the Cubs. We heard he met with Toronto as well. I mean, I could go on and on. This guy, 23 years of age, he hasn't pitched a lot. in Japan, but he's been dominant when he has. And they've done a great job of protecting his arm. So you're getting a fresh arm. I mean, I was looking at his numbers last night when I was getting prepared for the show. I mean, his numbers are tremendous. You know, last year, he only gave up 2 home runs in the entire year. Yeah, 2 home runs the entire year. And the clock is ticking. You know, we're sitting at January 11th. By January 15th, he may sign. He may sign this week. Okay? But he got till the 23rd. January 23rd, I'm sure he'll sign by. But the clock is ticking. And, you know, I was looking last night. Mike Petriola, MLB.com, said that the Padres are going to get him. He came out and he predicted the Padres are going to get Roki Sasaki. And, you know, maybe they will. But are you going to lose Dylan Cease and Michael King or one or the other prior to that? But Sasaki would be here for 6 years. And you'd be paying him, you know, the international money plus a big league salary. And you'd pay him the minimum. And obviously, after 3 years, he'd be arbitration eligible, and that would escalate. And this guy's going to make a ton of money. He's not worried about that. He wants to pitch in the big leagues. But, you know, I was looking at his numbers. Last year, he pitched 18 games. And like I said, they have not abused him. They've really done a great job of protecting his arm. Last year, 18 games, 111 innings, gave up 83 hits, 29 earned runs, 10-5 record at 2.35 ERA. 32 walks, 129 punch-outs, gave up 2 home runs in 111 innings. And by the way, if you're not familiar with Japanese baseball, the power alleys are a lot shorter in Japan than they are here in the States. So that's pretty amazing. Gave up 2 home runs the entire year. In his career, and this is just his NPB career, not his overall foreign career, 29-15, a 2.10 ERA, and 394 2/3 innings. Kids hadn't even thrown 500 innings in Japan, so he's coming over very fresh. Guy is pretty doggone good. I mentioned Padres, Dodgers, Mets, Cubs, Giants, Rangers, Yankees, and throw in Toronto. He met with Toronto, and the clock is ticking. And there was a rumor, I couldn't confirm it. And there are a lot of rumors on the internet. There was a rumor that he was in San Diego and over in Coronado on Saturday, but I can't confirm that. I've just heard the rumor. And so I throw it out as a rumor based, not as a fact. But you hear a lot of different things. Okay, the Padres catching situation, and I've been on this. I'm a big catching guy. I'm a big catching guy. And right now we're sitting at Luis Campusano and Brent Sullivan. Brent Sullivan, last year, 3 for 16 in the big leagues, had a good year down in AAA, 30 years of age. He's a 4A guy, good team guy, not a bad receiver, but he's a depth piece in an organization. That's what he is. He's a depth piece. Luis Campusano was in our arbitration eligible. Him and the Padres came to agree he'll make $1 million. Luis Campusano finished last year in AAA. I don't think he necessarily had a great winter league. I'll have to track down his final stats in the Dominican Winter League, but I don't think they were great. I think he made some adjustments to his stance to try to maybe hit with a little more power rather than just kind of putting the ball in play. But he got to come in. I mean, how many more times are we going to give Luis Campusano an opportunity to grab the number 1 job in San Diego? It seems like it's been like for 3 years. And this last year, he had it and lost it and then got hurt and came back and played so poorly, they sent him down to AAA. Wasn't even on the playoff roster. I mean, it's just awful. So that's our guy. That's our guy now, along with Brett Sullivan. Those are the only 2 guys right now on the Padres 40-man roster. Now, they signed a minor league guy who had been in the Kansas City organization, Rodolfo Duran, 26 years of age, last year between Double and AAA, hit 282, 11 homers, 60 RBIs, and 790 OPS. He's a 250 minor league hitter and 1,735 at-bats. Another depth piece. Now, you could bring back Elias Diaz. It will be 34 years of age. Last year, um, 84 games with Colorado before he got DFA because they wanted to go younger. He hit 270 with 5 homers, 36 RBIs. Then he came to the Padres, and he played a couple games down in AAA. Then they brought him up. Didn't really play a lot. 12 games, 21 at bats, hit 190. The guy was an all-star. He was the All-Star Game MVP a few years ago. You know what? You could do a lot worse. You could do a lot worse. So that's where the Padres are at right now. And I mean, there are guys signing. They're catchers that are signing now, but they're not anybody that I would want behind the plate on a regular basis. And again, there's no Johnny Benches or Carlton Fisk or Ivan Pudge Rodriguez anymore. All these guys now they're going to catch, maybe 70, 80 games, and you got to, rotate them out. There's nobody going to catch 145 games. That's just not happening anymore. I mean, if you got a good catcher, he's not going to catch 145 or 150 games. Now, if he's a good hitter, he'll probably DH a little bit. But that's where the Padres are at right now. And, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, we keep waiting for Ethan Salas. I can't imagine Ethan Salas. I can't believe we're going to see him in 2025. In fact, I don't want to see him in 2025. I want to continue to see him grow and get better down in the minor leagues. I know he had a great Arizona Fall League. I get that. But that's short term. The ball carries in Arizona. He did not have a great year last year in high A ball in Fort Wayne. Now, he shows signs of being a pretty good hitter. He hit 206. But he shows signs of being a pretty good hitter. I'm high on this guy. But I don't want him rushed. I want them to take their time. I don't want them to bring him up just because they need a guy up here. Don't sacrifice long-term development over trying to get short-term to get a roster spot. This kid's got a chance, I think, to be pretty special. Got some power when he connects. Good catch and throw guy, quick feet behind the plate. I mean, this guy is really the complete package. He just needs to grow and get stronger and get more mature in dealing with pitchers, coaches. And he's worked hard. He's worked very hard from what I understand. But he's 18 years of age. We don't need a guy up here at 19 catching in the big leagues. He's not Johnny Bench. He's not Pudge Rodriguez. Just let him grow down there. Let him have a good year, maybe in Double-A. Let him hit 245, 250, 260, hit some home runs, hit some doubles. Right now he's got doubles power. And that's great. This kid's a good-looking left-hand hitter. I know he struggled last year, but he did make strides in the Arizona Fall League, and I'm a big fan of this kid. I really am. And I talked with AJ about him at our holiday happy hour party. I'm really excited about this guy. I remember that first at bat he had a couple of years ago. I don't know if you recall. He got one spring training at bat, and he grounded out to second base. That was the first time I'd ever seen the guy hit. And I go, man, this guy's going to be a pretty good hitter. And I think he's going to be a good hitter. Watch his swing, his approach. He'll get it going. But again, you don't have to fast forward this guy. Let him develop naturally. So that's where we're at with the catching situation. We got all kinds of problems behind the plate. Catchers are hard to find, man. You got to have a guy back there that flat out loves it. Okay, Padre coaching situation. I got to tell you, Padres, they hired 3 pretty damn good guys in the last 3 or 4 days. They added 2 coaches to the major league staff. Robbie Hammock, the former major league catcher. I think most of us remember him with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was actually in the Padres organization a couple of years ago as a bench coach in AAA. Spent time, I think, in the Pirates organization. Another guy that'll be able to work with the catching. I like that. He's 47 years of age, as I mentioned. The catching, catching is so important, and teams now are starting to pay more importance to it. But for years, you never had a catching coach. You'd have a guy that throw you some balls. You could work on your footwork, but you were kind of doing it on your own. Maybe, the pitching coach had some catching experience. He could work with you. But now teams are actually dedicating coaches to work with catchers, and that's great. So Robbie Hammock joins the organization. A local product, a San Diego native, Nick Punto. Remember Nick? Played a long time in the big leagues. Got a World Series ring with the Cardinals back in 2011. Recently, he's been the head baseball coach up in Rancho Santa Margarita at Rancho Santa Margarita Catholic High School. So that's cool. He's going to now be one of the coaches, and I think he'll help out in a bunch of different areas. I would certainly think he'd work with the infielders, especially the middle infielders, because that's the position he played. So he was added, and that's a good one. And then over the weekend, the Padres hired Scott Service, the former manager of the Seattle Mariners. And another guy, he's a catcher. I love these catching hires because they know the game. They've constantly been watching the game out in front of them all the years they've been catching. That's why you have so many major league managers that are catchers once upon a time. But Scott Service, former Mariners manager, did a nice job up there. 8+ seasons, 680 and 642. He's going to be a special assistant and work in player development, and I'm all for that. I'm definitely all for that. Robbie Hammock, going back to Robbie Hammock, he's going to be the major league field coach. He's going to kind of get work with Mike Schilt, put together, the pregame, what they're going to work on each and every day, whether you're going to have PFP for your pitchers, or we're going to work on double plays, or we're going to work on 5-4-3 double plays. We're going to work on, whatever. First and third, different situations. He's going to put together the pregame plan working with Mike Schilt. And that takes a lot of pressure off of the manager. So that's really good stuff there. Okay, that's baseball. Now, let's get to college basketball. I was telling my wife the other day, these 10 a.m. tip-offs for a basketball player really stink. And I think about when I played college basketball, or even in high school. You'd be practicing in the morning, man. And I don't care how much sleep you get. You come into an arena, it's cold, you're tired, you're trying to clean the cobwebs out. And the Aztecs, they had a lot of cobwebs, it looked like, on Saturday at New Mexico at the Pit. One of the more difficult places in the country to play. In Albuquerque, New Mexico, at altitude, but the Pit, the fans were on top of you. They had over 15,000, and they were rabid. And they should be. They got a really good ball club. A really good ball club. Aztecs just didn't look like the Aztecs. Now, that's going to happen. This is still a very young basketball team. They're still growing. They're going to be okay. They're 10-4 and 3-2 in the Mountain West Conference. They've got a tough week. They've got 2 home games, though, which is good. They've got tomorrow night, Tuesday night, they've got Colorado State at home. And then on Saturday at 5 o'clock at Viejas, they got UNLV. Winnable games, but you got to play. You just can't show up and say, we're San Diego State. You're going to have to play. But Saturday, they just didn't look right. They looked totally out of sorts. They got beat by Lobos 62-48. New Mexico's got a good team. Richard Pitino done a really nice job. Aztecs trailed by 10 at halftime. They were down 30-20. They got killed on the boards, and there's no reason for that. That comes down to effort. They got killed on the boards. They got out-rebounded 51-35 in that game, but get this. This is where New Mexico won the game. They had 13 offensive rebounds. The Aztecs had 1. 13 offensive rebounds to 1. You're not going to win many basketball games like that. So the Aztecs now, they got to win. They got to start putting it together. I think this is going to be an NCAA team, but I don't know. It may come down to the tournament. We'll have to wait and see on that. Okay. We're going to get to the UCSD basketball game on Saturday night. I was so looking forward to going. And Friday night, I wasn't feeling great. Saturday morning, I felt worse. And I'm going, damn, I can't go. I mean, I could have gone, but I had to respect everybody that would be around me. I wouldn't be able to shake people's hand. I wouldn't be able to be the coach and go out and be the type of person I am without possibly getting somebody sick. So I stayed home, and I feel a lot better today. I'm still not 100%, but I feel pretty doggone good. And I'm fired up, especially when I wrote down pitchers and catchers report on February 12th. I got really fired up. Man, this is a great time of year for me. But anyways, I wanted to go to the game. It was sold out, 4,000 plus, whatever Lion Tree Arena holds. And UCSD's got a good team. Don't let that loss the other night affect. They're a really good basketball team. They're going to win 20 plus games this year. I mean, even with the loss the other night, They're 14-3 and 4-1 in conference play. They got beat the other night by a really good basketball team, and a basketball team that's been really good for a decade plus under Russell Turner. He's a damn good coach, recruits good players, and they've got another battle later in the conference season. And then if everything goes well, they'll probably have, at some point in time, probably in the finals, have to beat UC Irvine to get an NCAA bid. Probably only a one-bid league, the Big West. But both of those teams, by the way, are, I think, worthy of NCAA tournament spots, but it just doesn't work that way. But it helped the other night the game was on ESPNU. It would have helped better if the Tritons would have shot the basketball. I mean, they shot 31.1%, and they were only 6 of 35 on threes, and they didn't attack the basket. They only got to the line 9 times the other night. They were 8 of 9 on free throw attempts. Really, the difference in the game, there were two things. They took Tyler McGuy, the star for UCSD, the guy that was leading the nation in three-pointers made. Tyler McGuy, the other night, he took 3 shots. He had 4 points. Well, your leading scorer doesn't lead you in scoring in a big-time game. You're going to be in trouble. He had 4 points, but he only had 3 shot attempts. They took him completely out of the game. Completely took him out of the game. And really, the difference in the game was the big center, 7'1", Ben Leutchen from Irvine. I mean, this guy, big player, and he played great there. 23 points, 13 rebounds. When he was out of the game, UC San Diego attacked the basket. When he was in the game, everything was on the perimeter or mid-range jump shots. And I think there are a couple of things. Number one, I think Eric Olin, and he even said it in Bryce Miller's column today in the paper. It was a good column by Bryce. You might want to check it out. He needed to do a better job as a coach, and I'm not going to put this on Eric Olin. He put it on himself. He could have done a better job of trying to free McGuy up the other night. But with that being said, as a player, McGuy's got to continue to move and, work around picks. And they normally do a pretty good job of setting picks for him to free him up on his three-point shot. But that's one area. The other area where I think they can get better is next time, take the game right to Leutchen. Make him play. They didn't attack him. I'd go right at that big guy. See if you can get him in foul trouble. Rather than, trying to go around him or work the perimeter, go right at the big guy. Get a couple of early fouls, get him out to where he's got to sit a number of minutes. I'll be very interested to see how Coach Olin, who I think is really making a name for himself, as is his program right now, I think he'll probably attack it the way I'm telling you right now. I'd be surprised if he didn't. But it was a disappointing loss, but it was great to see the fans come out. ESPNU carried the game. And I think people that came for the first time, they're going to want to come back. They're definitely going to want to come back because it's a really fun atmosphere. And I know the coaches and players, they really appreciated the fans coming out. They wish they had given a little bit better performance the other night, but hey, that's sport. And then the other team, Division One, I don't know what Steve Lavin's going to do over there. I don't know. I mean, he's 4-14 and 1-4 in West Coast Conference. This is his third year. It's not like it's his first year. I mean, this program not going anywhere right now. And I think NIL obviously has played a part, and they lost a lot of guys last year, but that's where we're at right now. But you got San Diego State getting it done to this point. You got UC San Diego really surprising everybody nationally. And then you got USD that is going backwards. And you got a name coach. Well, I mean, what's going on out there? If you're a USD Torero fan or alum, what's going on out there? How do you see Coach Lavin coming out of this down the road? Will he be back next year? I don't know. I think Steve Lavin's a pretty good guy, but man, having a rough go of it. And, they got beat the other night. I mean, St. Mary, Randy Bennett, oh my God. They came down from Moraga, and they beat the Toreros the other night, 103-56. I mean, that's not even being competitive. And this week they got Washington State at home on Thursday night at 7 o'clock at the Jenny Craig Pavilion. And then they go up to Gearston Pavilion on Saturday to take on Loyola Marymount. So that's where they're at right now. That's disappointing where USD is at. Okay, let's get to the wild card weekend. But hey, tonight, I'm looking forward to this game tonight. And again, it got moved out of LA. And again, our hearts and prayers with all the families and people that have been displaced and lost their homes. I watched a 7-minute video on Friday after the Lakers and Clippers, by the way, are going to play tonight in LA. Not against one another, but they're both going to be on the hardwood tonight. The first time they've played since the fires. They missed a couple of games over the weekend. I watched a 7-minute tape of JJ Redick talking. Uh, he and his wife and kids were renting a house, and that house is gone. And he talked about losing all the mementos and keepsakes and all that. But then he said he hadn't been back up there, and he drove up there, and he goes, "I just wasn't ready to see what I saw." So we've got people in San Diego, and we've got people in the neighborhood that I live in, people walking up and down the streets that have come and are staying with friends or loved ones from Los Angeles. A lot of Los Angeles people in San Diego right now. We're trying to get in contact with some people about getting some food to some people, and we're doing some stuff as a family. The Kenteras are just trying to get some food to a pickup place to where they can get it to the kids. My neighbor yesterday got a bunch of dog leashes and dog kennels and was donating that and trying to do what we can to help. A lot of animals in our community right now that were taken out of Los Angeles. But anyways, we got a playoff game tonight. It's going to be over at Arizona, State Farm Stadium, Glendale. You got Minnesota, our buddy Kevin O'Connell going against Sean McVay in the Rams. This ought to be a hell of a game for a variety of reasons. Number one, you got Kevin O'Connell, former offensive coordinator of the Rams, and La Costa Canyon grad, San Diego State grad, all-around great guy. I called every one of Kevin O'Connell's college football games when I was doing the Aztec football. He's a great guy. Mom and dad are great people. They stay in contact with me quite a bit. But anyways, Kevin going against Sean McVay, who gave him the job as the offensive coordinator with the Rams. You take a look at the quarterbacks. You got former USC star Sam Darnold going for Minnesota, going against Matthew Stafford, who's probably putting himself in the Hall of Fame, I would think. I would think he's going to be a Hall of Fame. He's been better than Eli Manning. Do you see Eli Manning's up for the Hall of Fame this year? I don't buy that. Eli Manning's not a Hall of Fame quarterback to me, but I don't want to digress there. But Matthew Stafford, and then you take a look at the wide receiver spots tonight. You got Justin Jefferson, you got Jordan Addison, another SC guy, going against that great tandem over there with the Rams of Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. This is going to be a great game tonight. I'm really looking forward to that. Now, the matchups for next weekend. In the AFC divisional Saturday, you got the Houston Texans, who defeated the LA Chargers. I'm going to get to the Chargers in a minute, but beat the Chargers 32-12. They'll go against the 1-seed Kansas City Chiefs. The other divisional round on Saturday in the NFC, it'll be the Washington Commanders. Great win last night. They doinked their way onto the next round, going against the Detroit Lions. Lions 7-2 at home this season. Redskins good road team 5-3 in the regular season in that win last night. The Washington Commanders, they're marching on. So that was a good game last night, a really good game. And then in the other matchup on Sunday at 12 o'clock, that game's going to start. It'll be the winner of tonight's game, Minnesota and LA, going to Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan. My boy Bill Warndell was working the game yesterday. He does stuff on the radio broadcast for the Eagles, spots for Merrill Reese. I was thinking about Philly Billy. Yesterday, Philadelphia won the game yesterday, 22-10 over Green Bay, but that wasn't a great offensive performance. Not at all. And the fans, when they were up 10-0, the fans were booing when their offense didn't do anything in the third quarter. When they had like a 3 down and out in the third quarter, the fans were booing them. And they were up 10-0. They ended up winning 22-10. But they'll host either the Vikings or the Rams. And then, oh man, the game next Sunday night. It's actually going to be at about 3:30 on CBS. And congratulations to Jim Nance. Broadcast his 500th NFL game yesterday. But you got Baltimore going to Buffalo. I mean, that is going to be one hell of a football game. I mean, yesterday, Denver hung in that game for a while, and then they got totally blown out. I mean, they got the doors blown off in the second half. But Baltimore, my favorite NFL player, Derrick Henry, going in there with Lamar Jackson, going against Josh Allen, that is going to be one hell of a football game. I mean, you got Baltimore 12-5 in a playoff win, and you got Buffalo sitting around watching on the weekend. They're 13-4. Lamar Jackson up for the NFL MVP. Josh Allen up for the MVP. Joe Burrow not in the playoffs, up for the MVP. How about Saquon Barkley? Is he in the running? I mean, Saquon Barkley, went over 2,000 yards. And nobody ever talks about him. How about Derrick Henry? Where would the Ravens be without Derrick Henry? Now, granted, Lamar Jackson's had an incredible year. How about 41 touchdown passes in the regular season and only 4 interceptions? Let alone the guy runs all over the field. Man, I knew it last offseason. I told people if the Ravens sign Derrick Henry, they're going to be tough. They're going to be a tough out. John Harbaugh, damn good coach. Damn good coach. And they play tough, hard-nosed, old-school football. I really think they can get to the Super Bowl. And Buffalo's really good, but I really think Baltimore can beat them. And I think they can get to the Super Bowl. Yeah, I got to get to the Chargers. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't get to the Chargers here a little bit. Okay? And here's my take on the Chargers. The Chargers, they played a last place schedule. Nobody brings this up. Everybody is so excited about Jim Harbaugh. They got to the playoffs and they stunk. They were up 6-0 and they got beat 32-12. Okay, they played a last place schedule, folks. And they didn't beat anybody was all that great. They beat one playoff team, and that was the Denver Broncos, and they beat them twice. I mean, they didn't beat anybody. They really didn't. And, they beat the teams that they were supposed to beat, but they didn't beat anybody. And the other day, Justin Herbert was awful. Absolutely awful the other day. I mean, beyond awful. Now, there are 2 of those receptions that should have been receptions, not interceptions. And really, the receiving corps let him down the other day, in my opinion. I thought they let him down. The defense, they fell into the same old. Derwin James, by the way, had a hell of a game. And now Khalil Mack's going to be a free agent. We don't know what he's going to do. He's contemplating retiring, but I think more than anything else, he's contemplating how much money he wants. Yeah, he'll probably be back with the Chargers. But Jim Harbaugh, yeah, wins and loss, did a nice job. Nice job. Got to the playoffs. I'm sure the Spanos were happy about that, but they 32-12, they got beat. C.J. Stroud and company took care of business. Defense took care of business. But they played a last place schedule. Next year, they're going to have to play a much more dynamic schedule. Now, that will give Joe Ortiz and Harbaugh an opportunity to continue to grow this football team. There's some really good players on the Chargers. There really are. But really, you knew they weren't going to get it done. They can't stop the run that well. And really, the other day, it was more about throwing the ball against them. And, late in the game, Houston ran the ball the way they needed to. But, and Justin Herbert's taken a lot of heat. And he's 0-2. Remember the playoff game a couple of years ago when Brandon Staley and they had that big lead against Jacksonville and they burped it up? Or they were up at 28 points or something, and they got beat in the playoff game. Justin Herbert's 0-2 in the playoffs. So, and in 5 years in the league. And I was thinking, and Phillip Rivers had a pretty good run, never got to the Super Bowl, and Dan Fouts never got to the Super Bowl. But those guys they won division titles, and they got to some big games and won some big games. But Justin Herbert, 5 years in the league. Next thing you know, it's going to be 10 years in the league, and he'll be maybe 1-5 in the playoffs or something like that. But 5 years of his career have already gone by, and he's gotten to the playoffs twice, and they're 0-2. That's Charger football. Okay, now, little NFL coaching roundup. Before I came on the air this morning, it was announced Mike McCarthy's out as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. 7-10 this season, ton of injuries. Dak Prescott was out. They had a ton of guys go down, but no excuse. 7-10. 5 seasons he was there. 49-35 in the regular season, 1-3 in the playoffs. He did have 3 straight 12-win seasons. I think I'm a little surprised, but I'll be even more surprised to see who they hire. Boy, that thing down in Dallas, man. The biggest kick I get out of watching Dallas Cowboy football is watching Jerry Jones when he's sitting up there with one son on his right, his other son on the left, and then after the game, win or lose, they traipse to the locker room, and they always show him on X walking to the locker room, and he's always leading the way, and his 2 sons and other people are following behind. I mean, that's a real circus down there in Dallas. It really is. I don't know who they're gonna hire Neon Dion now. I don't know. I'm sure the rumors later today are gonna jump out there pretty good. But Mike McCarthy, I wonder if he'd be in line for any of these other jobs now. I saw Pete Carroll interviewed for the Chicago Bears job the other day. I don't know if Pete Carroll's going to get a job. He's 73 years of age. Most of these teams probably want to go a younger direction, but we'll have to wait and see. Raiders, what are they going to do? They fired Tom Telesco. You know the Telesco? He never had a chance. He never had a chance. Antonio Pierce, I had no problem letting him go. They should have never given him the job to begin with. I mean, what he did over at Arizona State, getting them in all that kind of trouble with Herm Edwards, and he was really the precipitator of that. You know, if he tried to come back to college football, he'd have to sit out a year. But Antonio Pierce was in way over his head. Tom Telesco's not in over his head. I mean, Tom Telesco didn't have a chance to draft a quarterback. He ended up taking Brock Bowers, who broke all kinds of records for rookie tight ends. But he wasn't even on the job a full year, and they decided to go a different direction. Tom Telesco is a pretty damn good personnel guy. I mean, he drafted some good guys with the Chargers. The problem was he never had a good head coach. I liked Anthony Lynn, but he needed more help. Brandon Staley was a joke. Mike McCoy wasn't a very good hire. But again, they never wanted to pay the freight. That comes down to ownership. Like I always say, man, it all starts at the top. The fish stinks from the top down. And, you know, he got saddled. He took the job, and Antonio Pierce was already in play, and they decided to keep him. So Tom Telesco's out. Hopefully gets another job. Maybe he'll sit out a year and then get another opportunity. He may end up having to go back and, work in player personnel. But he's a good man, hard-working guy, quality guy, and I wish him the best. So Mike McCarthy out. And then one of my favorite NFL coaches, Mike Vrabel, back in the league. Back in the league with the New England Patriots. He's a good football coach. In New England, I thought they had the worst roster in the league. And I said last week, Gerard Mayo deserved better. He deserved more than 1 year. But they had the old collaborative effort, and the collaborative effort totally collapsed on Gerard Mayo. And you know what? Maybe they really didn't want him to be the head coach, and they set him up to fail. But that's where they're at. And now Mike Vrabel's coming in. Mike Vrabel's going to want to run the ball club. He's not going to want a bunch of guys in there telling him how to do things. He's a leader of men. He's going to come in and get the job done. Tennessee is not very good, and they were awful this year. With the Titans, 6 years with the Titans, 54-45, and 2-3 in the playoffs, and did a nice job. And his quarterback most of the time was Ryan Tannehill. And they had Derrick Henry, and they played good old-fashioned smash-mouth football. And I think he's going to get the Patriots back to that. And he's got a good young quarterback in Drake May. He's got something to work with a quarterback, but they've got to get some surrounding pieces, namely on the defensive and offensive line. And then, build that team from the inside out rather than the outside in. So there's your NFL news. Okay, we're going to get out of here. And again, if we have a couple of comments, we can drop those in right now. But I'm done telling you everything I know. I want to hear what you have to say. And again, you can go to our YouTube page. We got all kinds of spots for comments, Facebook, X. And again, please subscribe to the program. Also like the program. And again, we're going to go Monday and Fridays. until spring training starts. And then we'll hit you 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But right now, Monday and Friday. So again, subscribe, like, and send in your questions or comments. You can follow me on Facebook at John Kentera and on X at Coach Kentera 44. Until Friday morning, Coach John Kentera, have a great week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.